Want to learn how to create a properly sized YouTube channel banner that gets attention and sticks out in 6 easy steps? Well, I'm going to talk about that in this video.
Ciao, homie!
Ciao, homie. I am my block's strongest man, and I help you create small goals that matter in whatever you do. On this channel, we exercise with everyday objects, talk bodybuilding and strength sports, and review my block's best gadgets. If you're new here, consider subscribing and clicking the bell button for all notifications of my upcoming videos that release every other day at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And at any point during this video, check out links in the description below where I list out everything that I've discussed in this video and how to get merchandise that helps us spread this message of small goals matter together, and tips like TubeBuddy to help supercharge your own channel. So on to today's topic. Welcome back to my series on YouTube channel art tutorials, where today we're going to focus on how to make a YouTube banner, or more specifically, how to make a YouTube channel banner, the banner that you see stretching across the top of the home page of your channel. So the home page here. And so a couple of things to keep in mind, some of which are just best practices and some of which are structural, like what size do I make it and what dimensions should I use. So best practice wise, you want to make your banner immediately tell your potential viewers what you offer them or what you plan to offer them in terms of value, right? So you can't have a YouTube channel that is just there and you're making videos because you like to make them and providing no value to your potential viewers, because then they won't view, they won't click. So my banner, as you see, has my channel name across the top, My Block Strongest Man. I'll admit this font is a little more stylized than I would suggest that you use. You want it to be nice and clear and legible for everyone. I made the font really big, so I think it is clear enough, but this is more of a case of do what I say, not as I do. Try to pick a font that you know everyone's going to be able to read really clearly. Now, in my particular case, the channel name's right here too in the standard YouTube font, so I'm pretty confident they'll know what it says, and so I think we're okay. In addition to your channel name, though, you want to make sure and throw in kind of a brief sentence that summarizes the value that you provide. So for my channel, it is learn to exercise using anything around you. Be the best on your block every day. So that is the value I provide. I teach people to exercise using everyday objects all around their yard or in their home, and to help them set small goals that matter. So you may not be the best in the world at something, but you can set a goal to be the best on your block, right? Start off with small goals and build from there so you can have a sense of purpose and a sense of overcoming challenges. So I think all of that kind of oozes right through my statement or my sentence here, so that users who fall on this homepage, either via search or being shared from a friend or whatnot, will know exactly what they're going to get right away. And if not, they would, hear my trailer auto playing that explains it anyway. So once again, make your channel name nice, big, and bold so they can see what it is, and add in a nice little phrase that immediately and briefly tells your potential viewers what value they're going to get from your channel, and what that compelling reason is that they should go ahead and click subscribe and watch some of your videos. So onto the structuring and the size and how big it should be and all that stuff, right? Because there's the idea of, well, how do I draw all this stuff? And then there's the idea of, how do I fit what I drew into something that's the right size? So it's actually like pretty easy, but what we want to do first is go into our channel customization from our channel, and you'll see several different tabs on top. It starts off with the layout tab, and you'll want to navigate to the branding tab. So branding will show you a profile picture upload on top, and I've done a video on this in the past. That one's awesome. Check that out too, because that'll provide you with even more value, so you can do a whole drawing, a set of drawings for a complete branding, not just the banner. But in addition to that, you see the minimum requirements for a channel banner is that they're at least 2048 by 1152 pixels in dimensions, and that the file size is no more than 6 megabytes. So we keep that in mind as we draw our channel banner. Now, you see it shows you various devices here, kind of reminding you to optimize for those devices. And we can now move on to how do we draw this, right? So, well, much like what I showed you with thumbnails and especially with the profile picture, and when you do your branding, you do want to do some free-form drawing, but not from scratch. You do want to use templates whenever you can so that your end product comes out more clear and crisp and better than it otherwise would. So all you really need to do is Google YouTube banner template, and there's a bunch of them. So this is the one that I recommend you use, this one that's all a set of grays. And so we'll go ahead and just copy the image, and then we'll go over into our favorite image editor. So for me, as you all know, that's Inkscape for a variety of reasons, right? Number one, it's free, and number two, it's pretty robust. So there are a lot of YouTubers who use the Adobe suite. I didn't even delve into that direction at all. I'm sure the tools are fantastic, but they cost money from what I'm told, and they're substantially priced, right? And for beginning YouTubers like myself and a lot of you, that might be a great avenue in the future, but for now, we want to get kind of the best bang for the buck or the best bang for no bucks and produce video quality as good as we can by not putting out any cash until we have revenue coming back in from whatever our sales channels might be, right? So for me, I'm aiming to get monetized for AdSense. I'm attempting to do affiliate marketing. I'm doing branded merchandise. So it is good to have multiple sales channels, but until all of those sort of get going and come to fruition, there are plenty of free tools that you can create some awesome stuff with. So what I'll do is just right click in my drawing area and paste. And so automatically you'll see that the template is larger than my page size, so we want to make that match. And so what we can do is, let me zoom it in a bit so you can read it a little better. And so if I zoom that in, you'll see that it'll tell you this dark gray area here is the mobile friendly area, right? Or a desktop minimum, but we're going to work with the maxes here. So the mobile friendly area is 1,546 pixels by 423 pixels high. Now, you'll notice as we move out to the other devices, the height remains the same. So if you move out to a tablet, you have more width, but the same height, 423. And then if you want to maximize what you can show on a desktop, which is what I showed you earlier, it's again wider, 2,560 by still 423 tall. And then if you wanted to optimize for a television set, that's what this whole giant gray area is, and that's the full 2,560 pixels wide by 1,440 tall. And so those are kind of your guidelines. Now, what do we do from there? Well, first of all, we want to line this up with our drawing area. We want to make our drawing area this size. And so first of all, what I'll do is, now that I have my template highlighted because I just pasted it, and you can tell I have it highlighted because there's arrow handles all around it, I'll go ahead and click fill in stroke. And so that gives us our opacity measure, and it's at 100%, meaning you can't see through it at all. So what I'll do is I'll start reducing that so the template starts to fade away and the drawing page starts to appear, and I'll just fade it away enough that I can still barely see where the guides are, but draw safely on top of it, right? So we'll go, I don't know, maybe 40%, and we'll leave it there. So now, if we want to optimize for desktop, we want it to be 2,560 wide by 423 tall. And so how do we do that? We go up to the File menu in Inkscape, bring up Document Properties, and we'll get a pop-up that appears with all of the document properties. And so it has many standard dimensions, so US letter, US legal, and so forth. And US letter is a good size if you're going to be branding for t-shirts. That's what I've done for my branded merchandise. That's kind of a sheet of paper standard size in the US. And that's a good size I've found for apparel. I have purchased one of my t-shirts and it came out nice in that size. So what we're going to do here, though, is we want to match the template size for a channel banner. And so we'll change our units to pixels, which is px, and then we'll make the width what the template says, 2560, and we'll make the height what the template says at 423. And so you just tab out of those, close your document properties, and now we can just move over a bit so that we see our page. And so then what we're going to do is grab our template and line up the desktop max with the page. And there we go. So now they're lined up. Okay, so we'll scroll so you can see it all. And now, as I said, we're not interested in optimizing for a television set, so I'm going to zoom this in a bit so the tops and the bottom kind of go away and we can get more into the area that we care about, right? So then what you can do from here is I'm just going to hit the Control-I shortcut, and I'll show you what that is in terms of menu items. And then you can bring in different images that you might want. So for example, if I go to my block strongest man, I'll see my various images, and let's say I want to bring in, we'll find a PNG image. That one's my profile, but that's a JPEG, so we'll see white background, and I don't want white background. This one, I believe, is the PNG with it removed. And yes, there it is, right? And then so then you can drag that wherever you need it to be. So I'll put it right here. It seems well-sized already. I don't have to resize it. And then what you can do is add your text, right? So in Inkscape, there's a text tool right here. It's this capital A. And then I will create my large text area. And then we can just say, my blocks strongest man. Right? And then you can do Control-A to highlight the whole thing. Come up to your justification, center justify it. You can make it larger if you like, but I'm going to change my font first. And so I have lots of fancy fonts on my computer, but again, I'm going to repeat, try to keep it as clean and simple as you can. So let's go with Aroni. So this one's pretty simple. And then we can just make the font bigger by, you can choose your font point size here, but what I find to work easier is I click my selector tool, and then I have handles, right? So I can just literally like grab it and drag it as large as I want it to be. And so a trick with Inkscape, and I think this is probably a trick with lots of similar tools, is you want to hold down the Control key while you're dragging your size so it increases proportionally. You don't get a distorted, very wide but short, or very tall but narrow image. So my block strongest man. Now, what we want to stop and do right now is show you how layering works in Inkscape. So you want to go to Layer, and then we'll say Add Layer, and it'll be Layer 2. And so now what we can do is we can come down here and click on the template itself. So remember we had all that extra space down here that we're not using, we haven't drawn on. So I click on the template, and I can right click and say move this to Layer 2. And then what we can say is, now that we are on Layer 2, because I've selected it here, it means Inkscape is focusing on the items that are on Layer 2, which for us is just our template. I can come up to Layer and say Layer to the bottom. So now you'll see where I typed, my typewritten words are on top of the words that are on the template. And so what that does is that gives you the ability to make your creation and then tell Inkscape to delete one of the layers. So you use the template for as long as you need to, and then it goes away. And so let's just keep going. So we want to add another text box, and it would be here, for example, and this is kind of your value proposition, right? So it would be My value proposition goes here. And don't ask me why I used the Romantiques font one time, and Inkscape seems to remember it every time I type anything. It wants to use it over again. So we'll change it to Aroni. Simple as that. And so we have kind of our big channel name, our value proposition. We go to our selector tool. We can move this in place, make it kind of more centered. You can give it a different color for highlighting purposes if you want to draw more attention, something like that. And so that's how you get the image and the text. Now, we've been working all within the mobile friendly area, and you see I'm kind of not centered. So another thing we can do is just go back to the selector tool, kind of, we can select our image, hold down shift, select our text, hold down shift, select our text, and just use our arrow keys to move it over to where we think it's more centered. There you go. And so now let's say I wanted more content on the left and on the right for folks looking on a desktop. And again, if we go back to my channel banner, you'll see I have my kind of catchphrase, "Ciao homie," on the left, and me lifting a heavy box on the right, which is covered by kind of my call to action links, like my merchandise link and my TubeBuddy link and that sort of thing. So the way that you do that, and you'll see there are kind of empty spaces in between the main area and the left area and the main area and the white area, and that's done on purpose in the template, right? So this tablet area, I skip it on purpose so I know that things are going to be visible the right way. And so if you go here, and then you can just, I'm just going to pick a random picture here, so I'll just go into one of my expressions, I'll add this, and then you can simply put it in the desktop max area, hold down Control key, make it small enough to fit, and now you have an image that you know will appear for desktop but not for mobile. Okay, and then you can do the same thing over here. So let me not do Control I so you can see the menu option. File, Import is what Control I is doing. And then I'll just I'll stick another one on the other side. Again, I probably would make a channel banner with my face all over it like this, but for our purposes, just to show you how it's done. And then if I zoom back out, you'll now see what we have is a channel banner with a main center area, text, a call to action, and images on either side that will appear for desktop. Now, what we can do is click on the template and hit delete, and everything remains because the template was on its own layer, remember, and everything that I drew is on its own layer. If you want background coloring, you can do that as well. So, let's say we can go to Document Properties and select a fill, or the better way to do it is actually not to do it on the document properties, which is the whole document, but to maybe draw a rectangle. In our particular case, though, we've given the document size only the size of the banner, not the size of this whole viewing area, so it should be safe to do it either way. And so what we can do is just say background color, select that, and, play around with the colors to be something different. So I can go here and, change the background coloring. We can go into RGB, and there you go. So you start to add some cyan. You start to add some of this purple color. You can add some of this yellow color, which is the B stands for blue. And then you have sort of a background color, right? Kind of this beigeish brown color. So then, as always, the way you finish up with Inkscape is you want to come here, save as, save your project, which is an SVG file. You'll save that. You see all of these things I've created in the past. And then once you've done that, you come back into Inkscape and click on the Export PNG Image area. You'll see this pop up with all your PNG image features and settings. And then all you want to do is pick your location where you want it to go, name your file, and then click Export. And it will create from this project file a .png file that you can then go into YouTube, back here, under your branding, and upload here. Mine says change because I have one already. Yours will likely say upload if you're doing it for the first time. And then YouTube will warn you if your file is too large or doesn't meet the requirements in pixels, but yours will because you followed the template. And that's all there is to it. So again, how do we get this done? We check YouTube, we check Google for a template. Here, so you Google YouTube banner template, you grab the gray one, download it, go into Inkscape, paste it in, bring the opacity down so you can draw on top of it and still barely see the template, but see what you're drawing even more. And then put in your image, your channel name, a value proposition that clearly tells users why they should watch your videos, and then save your project, and then export your PNG, and then you're ready to upload it back to YouTube under the customization and branding area. So I hope you found this useful, and we'll see you again next time. So if you like this video and want to learn more about any of the products I described during this video, make sure to check out the links in the description below. So thanks again for joining My Block's Strongest Man. If you haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing using that button right there. And also, please consider watching more videos like this that I'm sure you will love as well. You should see them blooping up right over there. The one up here is the one YouTube thinks that you'll like the best, and the one over here is the one that I think that you will like the best. And of course, I appreciate it all. Share this with everybody you know. And of course, as always, until next time, ciao, homie.